One thing people like to wonder is why the fleet has grown slower compared to how quickly the network has expanded. For almost every single update, there are expansions. At first, it might seem like an odd decision. After all, new trains are exciting. So why does almost every major update seem to prioritize somewhere new to drive instead? First, we need to take a step back and realize the pattern Full Throttle seems to have of update. In version 1.4, the focus was clearly on expanding and improving the network. Mill Bridge was completely overhauled and the route was extended past Mill Bridge towards the coast of Brynmouth. Saltcommon was also added and the Fair branch line was relocated. And this doesn't seem to be slowing down either. Ollie, one of the developers, has said 1.5 is planned to be a bigger content update than 1.4. Yeah. While we don't know exactly what that means yet, it suggests that expanding and improving the game is still a major priority for Full Throttle. At first, I thought the answer was simple. Maybe making trains just takes longer. And to be fair, yes, it does. Creating a train is not an easy, straightforward task. Every train needs a model, sounds, physics, interiors, liveries, and testing. All of that, which takes a lot of time to create. When they do make a train, each train is modeled up to an extremely high standard. And the proportions of the train seem to be much more realistic, except for some trains that need remodeling. More on that later. But the thing is, that doesn't fully explain it. Let's take a look at the recent trains, the Class 175, which is expected to operate on the new Cornwall line, alongside the 150, 180 and the 230. Clearly, they can make trains. So I think the real reason is something else entirely. I don't think Full Throttle is trying to build the biggest fleet. But why? Because at the end of the day, even if a game has dozens of trains, the experience can still become repetitive if you're constantly driving the same routes. After a while, you start memorizing every station, every signal, and every part of the journey. A new train can make driving more interesting, but a new route can completely change the experience. This is something I've talked about with Croydon. However, since Redefined, the focus has shifted away from constantly making the map bigger towards improving the existing experience. The next major step is likely waiting on systems like the multiplayer system, which could allow larger expansions such as Addington to become possible. Railway games can become repetitive surprisingly quickly. Even if you're driving a different train, you'll eventually memorize every station, every signal, every bridge. Expanding the network keeps that from happening. This is one of the biggest differences between British Railway and games like SCR. While SCR is focused on improving gameplay features within this existing network, British Railway's updates have been focused on making the railway itself bigger. Now don't get me wrong, I still think British Railway needs more trains. There are plenty of missing classes players would love to see. But if Full Throttle spent the last few years only adding trains and barely expanding the map, I actually think the game would feel far more repetitive today. Another thing to consider is that there are plenty of trains players would want to see added. The Class 43, the Class 390, and many other requested trains would definitely be exciting additions. However, adding every single popular train immediately might not be the best decision. A train is only good as the routes as it can run on, and some of these trains would be a much bigger impact once the network is larger. For example, an in-city train like the Class 390 will make much more sense when there's longer mainline journeys available. Even though the mainline is quite big, they already said they're gonna make the extension past Cuffley, and that'll be the final extension for the mainline. Once the network reaches a point where these trains have somewhere meaningful to operate, they become much more valuable options. New trains keep the fleet fresh, new routes keep the whole game fresh. But these are my opinions on the question of this video. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing, and of course, leave a like on this video, show me if you want more videos like this. And I'll see you guys very soon.